I need the win, or this game's over for Paul Craig in the UFC.
Chisanga Malata here with a man who I would say I have much more than a fighter journalist relationship with.
Yeah,
Somebody who asks me about my family from time to time when I do see him. I'm talking about the great and powerful Paul Craig. Paul, how are you doing?
man, that was an entrance there. It was beautiful. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. But it's been a while, hasn't it?
I know, yeah,
For we
I
started this
briefed.
journey. For we
Yeah, that's true.
like the one in one of the last interviews, I was saying it's 20 fights I've been fighting in the UFC. Like when you think about that, all the years ago when we first started talking, it's been a long journey for both of us.
It has, man. That was the debut against Henrique de Silva. Was that 2016?
It probably would have been, yeah. I would have
Yeah,
been.
man.
I think I was 28, maybe 27, 28 at that point. And then you look now where I am as a fighter and how the careers went, and it's had its ups and downs as most careers do. We've made big decisions to go to middleweight. We've moved back up. It's all part of this journey. But I do believe light heavyweight's where I should have stayed. But it was a good experiment to try that middleweight.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that, but one thing that I wanted to ask about, how did it feel to follow in the footsteps of the late great Ken Buchanan and become like the first Scottish mixed martial arts fighter to actually fight in Madison Square Garden? I know Stevie Ray's fought at the arena, but at the what I can't remember what the name of the arena
The
is. The
theatre, is
actual,
it? Is it the theatre?
yeah, the theater. Sorry, the Hulu theater next to it. But to actually fight in MSG following in the footsteps of Ken Buchanan, it must have been something special.
It was crazy. It was a crazy experience. Like these venues are what get you excited. And when they offered us this fight against the risings of Bo Nickal, we jumped at the chance because we did believe we could have beat him. It didn't wasn't our night in that sense, but it's just the monumental occasion, fighting in there, fighting in front of the president. It was John Jones fighting Stipe Miocic to become one of the greatest of all time in light heavyweight as well as heavyweight. There was just so many amazing things. But before we walked out, my coach James Doolan had said to me, he says, "Soak up every moment. This is one of these once in a lifetime opportunities. So soak up every moment. Make sure you take everything in and remember this for the rest of your life." And there was a slight change in my normal walkout. Normally it's quite a tense moment for me. Like my music plays and I'm going there as if I'm going to battle. But for some reason, in that moment, everything just felt nice and easy. I felt like I was in a nice flow state with regards to my mindset for the fight. And you can see that when I'm dancing to like Bop, and it was just a great experience to walk out there. And as you're saying, to be like one of the only few Scottish people to do that, it puts me in like a sort of realm of being a Scottish sports legend.
It certainly does. And speaking of legends, shout out to the great and powerful Jimmy Doolan of Higher MMA.
Yeah,
When I watched back the Bo Nickal fight, um, I want to say this in the most respectful of ways, especially with the benefit of hindsight now. I feel like you could have got him if you put a bit more pressure on him.
I
I'm
know.
sure that's a conclusion that you guys came to afterwards, but does it almost sting a little bit more, especially because you saw what Rene de Ridder just did to Bo with the pressure just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, watching that fight back with Bo Nickal and Derrida, I was like, that's what I should have done. Sometimes things don't happen your way, and I should have put a wee bit more pressure on it. It literally came down to maybe a couple more feints, maybe a couple more punches landed, maybe a couple of more attacks, and this could have changed my whole outcome. But this is part of this sport. It's the shoulda, woulda, coulda. It's the words of a loser, which would say that I should have done this, I could have done this. I need to dust myself off and move forward. I didn't do enough in that fight, and as one of the things that we do after a fight is we'll sit down and have a conversation with coaching staff, and they'll then tell me what could have went better, what we did right. And that was one of the things. It was work rate. Can we do a little bit more? You're fighting for your life. It's 15 minutes, Paul. Could you do it in for 15 minutes? I could have and I should have. Looking back, it'll haunt me. But hey, we dust ourselves off. We decided to put a little bit more mass back on and move back up to light heavyweight, and now we've got this fight with Bellato.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, but you kind of alluded to it at the start. This is a permanent move back up.
I do believe so. I mean, unless there's a really favourable, I don't mean favourable, a fight that gets me excited. Because there was a point where I was thinking before the Bo Nickal fight, I thought, you know what, it's maybe worth moving back up to light heavyweight. We had a good record at light heavyweight. We'd only been beating off a few top ranked guys in there in the top 10. And then when the UFC offered us the fight against Bo Nickal in Madison Square Garden, we were kind of like, you know what? This is a fight that gets us excited, so we'll take that and we'll stay at middleweight. Now, if the UFC offer me another exciting fight, listen, they say, listen, Paul, there's a last minute replacement. Would you be interested in fighting Robert Whittaker? Robert Whittaker is one of my favourite fighters. I would love to share the octagon with him. So, of course, I would jump down to fight somebody like Bobby Knuckles. But as we're moving forward, I do believe light heavyweight's where I can do my best work. And when you look at the way the division's moving at the moment, and you think we've got Ankalaev, who has got the belt, and he's the only loss in his record is to myself. And I do believe that a couple of wins, maybe 2 wins, can put you in that title mix and maybe jump the queue. And that's what I'm kind of hoping for. Do I believe my run as a light heavyweight title contender is over? I don't. I believe it's happening, and I believe that a few wins, as I said, can propel us into that title contention.
And you're going into this fight with Rodolfo in somewhat uncharted career territory. Obviously, the 3 losses in a row. Psychologically, what's the mindset going into this? Because I remember back in the day, it used to be 3 losses or more, then you're done in the UFC. Obviously, that's no longer the case. But in the back of your mind, you must kind of be thinking a little bit, I need to get back in the win column as soon as possible.
Yeah, 100%. The way the UFC works is you need to be winning. This sport is about what you do in that octagon. It's not about all the extra media you do or all your ability to chat. It's a very small part of this job. It's about what happens in that octagon. And I do believe coming off of the 3 losses, right, there were 3 losses against 3 good opponents. It wasn't like I had been beat off no names. I mean, I get beat off Brendan Allen, who's in that top 15, and he's in that mix. I beat off Kyle Barallo, the same. Like some people saying he's probably the next champion in that division. And then when you look at Bo Nickal, I wasn't beat. I beat myself in the Bo Nickal fight. So you're always worried about your next contract. And this is kind of one of these moments where if you don't perform on Saturday night against Rodolfo Bellato, there's a good chance the UFC won't pick you back up. So that fear is what kind of motivates me as well. We've seen that against when I fought Ankalaev and I got that victory. Last fight in my career, last fight in my contract, sorry for that, at that period. And I'm coming to the same sort of moment in my life where this is all or nothing. Do you want to be a UFC fighter, or do you want to go back to Monday 95 and be a teacher or be working in a gym? Is that what you want to do as your job? And I'm like, you know what? I do believe there's a little bit left in me to be a UFC fighter and be a light heavyweight champion. So it's all or nothing come Saturday. And I would love to say you're going to see a different version of Paul. But you never know what happens on that night. But I'm definitely going out there, out in my shield, and it's a victory I'm looking for.
I feel you have, and you've shown this throughout your career, you have a tendency to rise to the occasion when your backup is against the wall. Obviously, you came back and you beat Andre Muniz after 2 losses most recently, and then obviously the massive Magomed Ankalaev win. So I think that's just in you in general.
I do believe so. I do, when there is pressure, I do believe that's when you will see the best Paul Craig. Or somebody made a meme online, and it's like Paul Craig can beat Andy on any given night. And it's true, I can. I can beat, you put somebody in front of me, and as long as I'm switched on and there's enough added external pressure, then I will rise to the occasion. And I do believe this is going to be one of these moments. Now, I'm not writing off someone like Rodolfo Bellato. He's an amazing MMA practitioner. He's coming off a draw. He's working with guys like Alex Pereira. He's got a very good jiu-jitsu ground game, and he's got a very good stand-up striking game. But what he's not got is he's not got that heart of a warrior. He's not got that Celtic blood in him that runs deep. And I do believe that's what we're going to show on Saturday night, that ability to pick ourselves back up and keep driving forward and looking for the victories.
Well, I hope my son, who is going to be born in September, if you remember, my wife's from Aberdeen. Yeah, I hope
Yeah.
he has half the Celtic spirit that you do. You kind of answered my next question on the stylistic matchup against Rodolfo, but I wanted to ask you, what have you made of his run in the UFC so far?
When I watched him against Jimmy Crute was coming off a long way off as well, so he wasn't very active. I know he was still training, but it's that sort of thing where he'd retired, he came back. The throw in the first round that Jimmy Crute got, I think, was fantastic. He lay on top of him, had some really good top pressure. But Adolfo used a nice sweep to get him back to his feet. And then what we seen was Adolfo used that low calf kick to get the victory. Now, I know he's going to be flinging that calf kick. When I look at back at some of the opponents who threw it on me, like Ozdemir, sorry, Volkan Ozdemir, when he was throwing that, and I'm thinking, right, is he as good as Volk throwing that? I don't believe so. I believe he's getting better at it and working with Pereira to get it even tighter. I do believe it's going to be a good weapon for him on Saturday night. But I do believe that my skill set on that ground where Jimmy Crute wasn't able to keep him there, I do believe I'd be able to keep him there. Not only that, I think within the last couple of fights, the run that you've seen me, I think you've seen a much better striking version of myself. Bellato has a very good striking for MMA. It's very ploddy, it's stepping forward, it's throwing nice shots, it's throwing nice combinations. But I do believe that my striking I'm going to showcase some striking there, some of the nice body kicks. And I do believe I've got a couple of tricks up my sleeve that it's going to work well against them.
And final one for me. Given that you find yourself in uncharted territory with 3 losses on the bounce, how big will this win feel to you? I mean, it could be potentially UFC career saving.
Yeah, that's the way I'm looking at it. It needs to be a victory for a UFC career saving moment. I'm coming to the last fight in my contract. This is the last fight on my contract. I do want to keep being a fighter. I do believe as I get a little bit older that I'm getting better. Skill set wise with regards to jiu-jitsu, I'm always learning. I'm always learning in the striking elements as well. Wrestling, I do believe working with James Doolan and the higher level guys have made me a much better fighter. But then also working with guys like Lee from Boxing Science for my nutrition has made me a much healthier athlete, as well as being able to produce bigger numbers on power output. And then it goes the same way working with my conditioning guy, Adam. All these kind of things are making me a much better fighter. And I do believe that I'm a much better version of a mixed martial artist than I was going back when I first started 20 fights ago. And that's the thing that keeps me in this sport. As long as I can keep getting better, then I'll keep staying in this sport. And as we said, there's a lot of pressure coming off of 3 losses. I need the win, or this game's over for Paul Craig in the UFC.
All right, Paul, I really appreciate the time as always.
No, it's a pleasure, man.
It is a pleasure. And as I said at the start, I count this relationship as more than just a usual transactional journalist fighter relationship. But hopefully the weight cut goes well. I know you don't have to cut down as much, so you'll be eating a little bit. Hopefully weight cut goes well, and hopefully you get your hand raised on Saturday night.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the support the whole career, man. And best of luck come September.